Willow Creek, Montana, is a small town nestled between golden wheat fields and the rugged peaks of the Rockies. Dusty red dirt roads wind through modest wooden houses, their front porches adorned with pots of vibrant geraniums. Each morning, the scent of freshly baked bread from Maggie's bakery mingles with the aroma of strong black coffee from Dixie's diner, where neon lights glow like a beacon every evening. Life here moves slowly, and the townsfolk know each other's stories from Old Man Jenkins' failed harvest to whispers of broken relationships. Country music tunes like Sweet Home Alabama and Wagon Wheel blares from the diner's ancient jukebox, blending with laughter, clinking dishes, and gossip about the upcoming harvest festival. Ethan Caldwell, 34, is a skilled carpenter who runs a small workshop by the Willow River, where the water gurgles over mossy rocks. With dark brown hair, deep green eyes, and a warm smile, Ethan is the town's pride. He can fix a leaky roof, craft a sturdy dining table, or carve a wooden horse for a child without charging a dime. Ethan lives with his wife, Laura, 32, an elementary school teacher with golden blonde hair and a gentle smile that endears her to her students. Laura spends her days at school, teaching kids multiplication tables and reading fairy tales, then returns to their cozy wooden home, sitting at the kitchen table, scribbling lines for the novel she dreams of publishing. To outsiders, Ethan and Laura are the perfect couple, often seen hand in hand at the harvest festival, where fairy lights twinkle under the night sky and the air smells of warm apple pie. They dance beneath colourful banners, laugh with neighbours, and pose for photos by hay bales. But beneath the surface, cracks have begun to form. Ethan stays late at his workshop, claiming he's swamped with orders, but really he's avoiding the stifling silence at home with Laura. Their dinners are now filled with the clink of dishes and polite small talk. "How was your day?" Or, "You tired?" Laura, meanwhile, often sits by the window staring down the dark road into town, wondering what snuffed out the spark in their love. She remembers their youth, when Ethan would grab her hand and run through the fields, promising to travel the world together. Now their world is confined to Willow Creek, and Laura doesn't know how to rediscover herself. One Friday evening at Dixie's diner, as Wagon Wheel plays, Claire Bennett walks in, turning every head. Claire, 33, Laura's high school best friend, has just returned to Willow Creek after a messy divorce in Seattle. With curly brown hair, sharp eyes, and the free-spirited vibe of a photographer, Claire brings a fresh energy to the sleepy town. She rents a small apartment near the town square, its walls covered with black and white photos of endless highways, rusted bridges, and starlit skies. Claire visits Ethan and Laura often, regaling them with tales of dazzling cities, jazz bars in New Orleans, and nights sleeping in her truck under a blanket of stars. Ethan, though he tries to hide it, feels his heart race when Claire speaks. She talks of freedom, of dreams unbound by responsibility, and Ethan can't help but imagine such a life. Laura, sitting across the table, forces a smile, noticing how Ethan's eyes light up when he looks at Claire, a look she hasn't seen in years. In the diner's dim glow, Claire tells the tale of Black Jack's treasure, a notorious 19th century bank robber said to have hidden a chest of gold somewhere in the Bear Paw Mountains, over 50 miles north of town. "They say the treasure isn't just gold," Claire says, her voice brimming with excitement, "but secrets that can change your life." Laura laughs, dismissing it as a campfire story. But the glance Claire shares with Ethan, a knowing, charged look, sends a chill down Laura's spine. When Ethan's hand brushes Claire's as he passes the plate of fries, Laura grips her coffee mug, hiding the anger rising within her. One Sunday afternoon, as golden sunlight filters through the leaves, Ethan agrees to join Claire in the forest near Willow Creek to take photos for her latest project. They wander along trails where the scent of pine and damp earth fills the air, a freedom Ethan rarely feels in his workshop. Claire, with an old Canon camera dangling from her neck, points out small details, a bird's nest high in a tree, a shimmering creek, a wildflower sprouting between rocks. Ethan is struck by how she sees the world, as if everything is worth capturing. "Ever thought about leaving this place, Ethan?" Claire asks softly, her eyes sparkling in the sunlight. "Just a car, a road, and no looking back." Ethan chuckles, shaking his head, but her question unsettles him, stirring dreams he buried long ago. Beneath an ancient oak, its trunk etched with the names of lovers from decades past, Ethan trips over something hard. He kneels, digging up a rusted tin box, weathered by time. Inside is a brittle piece of leather, miraculously preserved, bearing a hand-drawn map and faded ink. Black Jack's treasure belongs to those who dare face their heart. Claire squeals, her eyes alight with childlike wonder. "Ethan, this is real! We have to find it!" She touches his shoulder, and though it's a fleeting gesture, Ethan feels a jolt, stepping back instinctively. Ethan hesitates, knowing Laura would disapprove. Laura is practical, more concerned with her students' report cards than chasing adventures. He recalls suggesting a camping trip to Yellowstone once, only for Laura to laugh and say, "We've got enough to do here, honey." But the thought of an adventure with Claire, escaping the monotony of Willow Creek, makes him nod. "All right," he says, his voice low, as if convincing himself. But no one can know, especially Laura. Claire agrees, arguing that Laura would mock them for chasing a legend. They plan to meet again the following weekend to prepare. But when Ethan returns home that night, Laura senses something off. He avoids her gaze, his smile carrying a secretive edge she's never seen. "What did you do today?" Laura asks, keeping her tone steady, her hands gripping the table's edge. Ethan shrugs, muttering, "Just walked with Claire, helped her with some photos." Laura nods, but inside a storm brews. Ethan and Claire prepare for their quest. They visit Johnson's general store in the town square, buying backpacks, an old compass, and dried food supplies. Ethan borrows a silver-green Ford truck from Hank, the owner of Dixie's Diner, who's always ready to lend a hand with a grin and a tale from his youth. Hank, with silver hair and a warm drawl, hands Ethan the keys, joking, "Don't let that treasure make you lose your way, kid. I've seen folks chase dreams and lose what matters most." Ethan laughs, but deep down, he knows this trip is about more than treasure. The map points to a hidden cave in the Bear Paw Mountains, over 50 miles north, through rugged roads and endless pine forests. The days on the road are a strange mix of excitement and tension. They stop at weathered gas stations, their faded Coca-Cola signs creaking in the wind, grabbing sandwiches and coffee, reminiscing about high school when Ethan, Laura and Claire were an inseparable trio. Claire recalls sneaking out of a school dance to stargaze on a hill, and Ethan remembers Laura blushing during their first kiss under a silver moon. But those memories now carry a bitter edge, because Claire is beside him, not Laura. Claire, her curly hair dancing in the breeze, points to distant mountains and says, "Ever think life could be bigger than this, Ethan? Not just Willow Creek, but the whole world out there?" Ethan doesn't answer, but her words stir the walls he's built around his heart. One evening, as they camp by a shimmering creek under a moonlit sky, Claire hands Ethan a mug of coffee, her fingers brush his and they both freeze. The air thickens, filled only with the sound of flowing water and chirping crickets. Ethan turns away, pretending to tend the fire, but his heart pounds. Claire, in a teasing yet serious tone, asks, "Ever thought about living differently, Ethan? Not this life, with the workshop and small town, but something bigger, freer?" Ethan forces a laugh, but her question cuts deep, exposing the loneliness he's buried. He loves Laura, but their marriage has become routine, missing the passion of their early years. He recalls nights they stayed up talking about dreams, but now those dreams are buried under duty and exhaustion. Back in Willow Creek, Laura notices small signs. Ethan's frequent absences, his curt text messages, and the way he mentions Claire with an unfamiliar enthusiasm. She visits Hank at Dixie's diner, sitting at the counter with a steaming tea, her eyes distant. "He's changing, Hank," she says, her voice trembling. "I don't know what's happening, but I feel him slipping away." Hank advises her to trust Ethan, but shares a story about Black Jack. "He didn't just chase gold, Laura. He chased temptations that destroyed his family. Don't let what hasn't happened yet break your faith." Laura nods, but she can't shake her unease. She recalls sitting by the Willow River with Ethan, when he carved their names into a rock, promising to stay by her side forever. Now she wonders if that promise still holds. The journey continues, with bumpy roads winding through endless pine forests, where sunlight filters through the canopy, casting patterns on the ground. Each morning, Ethan and Claire wake to the dawn, sharing coffee and stories. Claire talks of photographing the Grand Canyon, of sleeping in her truck under starry skies. And Ethan can't help but imagine such a life free of the burdens of responsibility, free of silent evenings with Laura. But every step is a battle within Ethan. He remembers Laura brewing his morning coffee, her smile as she reads to her students, their dances under the festival's fairy lights. He recalls the notes she used to slip into his pockets, scrawled with words like, "You're my whole world." One night, as rain pours like a waterfall and thunder rumbles, Ethan and Claire huddle in their tent, the cramped space forcing them close. Claire opens up about her failed marriage. "I love someone who didn't love me enough," she says, her eyes glistening, her voice quivering. "I don't want to live without feeling alive, Ethan. Have you ever felt that way? Like you're living for others, not yourself?" Her words mirror Ethan's own loneliness. He recalls dreaming of becoming an artisan, travelling the country to sell his woodwork. But Laura wanted stability, and he gave up his dream for her. They sit inches apart, their breaths mingling in the damp tent. A flash of lightning illuminates Claire's face, her lips trembling, her eyes full of longing. Ethan nearly reaches for her, but he stands, muttering he needs air, and steps into the rain. The cold water soaks him, but it can't drown the forbidden thoughts in his mind. He tells himself to stay loyal to Laura, but Claire's image, her radiant smile, her passionate gaze lingers. He recalls arguing with Laura about having kids, when she cried, saying she feared they weren't strong enough to be parents. Ethan held her, promising to stay, but now he's not sure he can keep that vow. In Willow Creek, Laura finds a note Ethan left in his jacket, a sketch of the treasure map, with Claire's handwriting. "Don't let Laura know." She's stunned, not by the treasure, but by Ethan's secrecy with Claire. Doubt turns to anger, and she drives to Clara's house, an elderly woman who knows the town's history. Clara, with sharp eyes and a slow voice, invites Laura into her book-filled home. Over tea, she explains that Black Jack's treasure isn't just gold, but secrets that can ruin relationships. "Be careful, Laura," she says, stroking an old book. "Sometimes what we seek isn't worth what we already have." Laura clutches the note, resolved to uncover the truth. She recalls sitting by the river with Ethan, when he carved their names into a rock, promising forever. Now she questions if that promise means anything. In the Bear Paw forest, Ethan and Claire spot signs of others' discarded Budweiser cans, large boot prints in the mud, and a torn scrap of paper scrawled with Bear Paw. They grow tense, realizing they're not the only ones hunting the treasure. Claire, her eyes worried, says, "We need to be careful, Ethan. I've heard of treasure hunters who'd do anything." Ethan nods, but inside, the thrill of the adventure overshadows his fear. Their fears are confirmed when they encounter Ryan Boone, a notorious treasure hunter from a nearby town, flanked by 2 burly companions. Ryan, with a sly grin and cold eyes, blocks their path, a gleaming dagger in hand. "Hand over the map, or you won't leave this forest," he threatens, his voice low and menacing. Claire grabs Ethan's arm, trying to stay calm, but her heart races. Ethan, though scared, steps in front of Claire, saying, "We don't have a map. You've got the wrong people." Ryan smirks, stepping closer, but Claire, quick on her feet, pulls Ethan through a hidden trail, navigating a narrow mountain pass she once photographed. They escape, hiding behind a boulder, panting as Ryan and his crew's footsteps fade. Ryan's presence heightens the stakes. Claire urges them to turn back, fearing for their safety. "We don't need the treasure, Ethan. It's not worth risking our lives." But Ethan, now caught up in both the treasure and his feelings for Claire, insists on pressing on. "We've come too far," he says, his voice firm, his eyes burning. "I can't stop now." Their tension erupts. Claire accuses Ethan of denying his feelings. "You can't keep pretending there's nothing between us, Ethan. I see how you look at me, how you pull away when I get close." Ethan snaps back. "You know I have Laura. Why do you keep pushing me into this?" In the heat of their argument, Claire nearly slips off a cliff, and Ethan pulls her back, holding her tightly in a moment of panic. They fall silent, their breaths mingling, realizing they've crossed a line they can't uncross. Laura, after speaking with Clara, decides to find Ethan and Claire. She borrows Hank's old Jeep Wrangler, its interior smelling of leather and gasoline, and drives to the Bear Paw Mountains, clutching the map sketch. The rough road with its sharp turns and scattered gravel mirrors her chaotic emotions. She doesn't know what she'll say when she faces Ethan, but she needs the truth, no matter how much it hurts. She recalls their early marriage, when Ethan built her a bookshelf, carving their names into it as a vow. She remembers nights lying on the grass, stargazing, dreaming of a home filled with children's laughter. Now she wonders if those dreams still exist. Meanwhile, Ethan and Claire find the cave marked on the map. Inside, the air is chilly, with water dripping from the stalactites, forming small puddles on the floor. They discover ancient carvings on the walls, intricate Native American designs mixed with Black Jack's handwritten scrawls. A massive stone door blocks their path, etched with a complex puzzle of symbols. Ethan touches the cold stone, wondering if the treasure is worth everything they've risked. Before they can decipher the puzzle, Laura appears at the cave's entrance, her silhouette framed by the dim light of Claire's torch. She wears an old wool jacket, her blonde hair dishevelled from the wind, but her eyes burn with determination and pain. "You lied to me, Ethan," Laura says, her voice trembling but resolute. She holds up the map sketch, Claire's handwriting a knife to her heart. "You went with Claire, hid this from me, what else? Do you love her?" Claire stammers, "Laura, we're just looking for the treasure. There's nothing more, I swear." But the fleeting glance between Claire and Ethan, a moment of hesitation betrays them. Laura steps forward, pointing at Ethan, tears streaming down her face. "I trusted you, Ethan. I believed we could get through anything, but you chose her, chose to lie, chose to make me feel like a fool." She speaks of sleepless nights, doubting herself, wondering if she was enough for him. Ethan, cornered, bows his head, his voice hoarse. "I don't know what I'm doing anymore, Laura," he says, each word a self-inflicted wound. "I have feelings for Claire, but I swear I haven't done anything wrong. I just wanted to feel alive." His confession pierces Laura's heart. She turns, stumbling out of the cave, her shoulders shaking with sobs. Claire, overcome with guilt, whispers, "Maybe we should stop." But Ethan, torn between regret and resolve, shakes his head. "We have to find the treasure, to make this mean something." Despite the conflict, Ethan and Claire press on in the cave. They focus on the stone door, working to decode its etched puzzle. The ancient symbols, suns, rivers, stars, lead them to a hidden mechanism, a lever concealed behind a moss-covered rock. Ethan, hands trembling, pulls the lever, but they trigger a trap. The cave floor shakes, and massive rocks crash from the ceiling, sealing the entrance. Dust chokes the air, the sound of crumbling stone echoing, and they panic in the darkness, with only Claire's fading torch for light. Trapped in the tight space, they must work together to escape. Claire, drawing on her experience photographing caves in Utah, recognizes the wall carvings as a map to a secondary passage. They labor side by side, moving smaller rocks and deciphering symbols, sweat dripping down their faces. While trapped, Claire confesses she deliberately drew Ethan into this adventure, drawn to him since returning to Willow Creek. "I knew you had Laura, but I couldn't stop," she says, her voice breaking, her eyes fixed on the stone floor. "I was wrong, Ethan, but I don't regret being here with you." Ethan, angry but honest, admits he let himself fall into these feelings. "I love Laura, but you make me feel different," he says, his voice low, as if confessing to himself. "I don't know how to fix this." He recalls arguing with Laura about leaving Willow Creek, when she cried, saying she couldn't abandon her students. Ethan held her, promising to stay, but now he doubts he can keep that promise. They agree that, treasure or not, they must face the consequences of their actions. After hours, they open a new passage, leading to a hidden chamber deep in the cave, where light from a crack in the rock illuminates a dusty, cobweb-covered wooden chest. In the secret chamber, Ethan and Claire stand before the chest, locked with a rusted iron padlock. Carved into the wood is a warning: choose gold, lose the heart. Choose the heart, find the truth. The air is heavy, filled only with their breathing and the distant drip of water. They face a choice: open the chest and claim the treasure, or walk away to salvage what remains of their lives. Claire, her eyes resolute, says, "We've sacrificed too much, Ethan. Open it. We can use the gold to start over, a new life. Just you and me." Her voice trembles, as if pleading for him to choose her, to choose a different future. Ethan, thinking of Laura, of her singing softly in the kitchen, holding his hand through tough days, crying when they lost their dog years ago, shakes his head. "I can't leave her, Claire," he says, his voice firm but pained. "Not for gold, not for anything. Laura's my home." Claire turns away, tears falling, but nods, as if she'd known his answer all along. As they argue, Ryan and his crew burst in, having found another entrance, likely a crevice in the cave wall. Ryan, dagger gleaming, demands they open the chest.
"Do it, or I'll slit both your throats,"
he roars, his face twisted with greed. In a tense moment, Ethan shoves Ryan, who stumbles into another trap, a hidden pit beneath the stone floor, covered by dust. Ryan screams, trapped, as his companions flee, their footsteps echoing. Shaking, Claire and Ethan open the chest, but instead of gold, they find Blackjack's journal, a stack of yellowed parchment detailing his life. Blackjack wrote of abandoning his family for greed, only to live in regret. With it are a few ancient gold coins, glinting faintly. But the true value lies in the journal's lesson. The real treasure is those we love, not what we hold. Ethan and Claire emerge from the cave, carrying the chest and journal, stepping into the pale afternoon sunlight. The fresh forest air clears their minds, but the weight of their choices presses on them. They donate the chest to the Willow Creek Historical Museum, where historians marvel at its significance. The proceeds from auctioning the gold coins fund a community library, a place for kids to learn and townsfolk to gather, restoring pride to the town. Ryan, rescued from the pit by a search team, is arrested for his threats, his quest ending in disgrace. But the true treasure is the truth Ethan and Claire must confront. They let temptation guide them, and now they must pay the price. Ethan finds Laura at home, kneeling before her, his voice trembling. "I was wrong, Laura. I got lost, but I never stopped loving you. Please, give me a chance to make this right." He tells her everything about the treasure, his feelings for Claire, and how he chose not to act on them. He speaks of sleepless nights in his workshop, questioning if he deserved her. Laura, eyes red, sits in an armchair, listening, clutching a handkerchief. She remembers dancing with Ethan at the festival, how he held her like she was his world. "I don't know if I can trust you again," she says, her voice breaking, "but I want to try, because I still love you." She asks him to attend marriage counselling and commit to honesty, and Ethan nods, tears streaming down his face. Claire, realising the pain she's caused, decides to leave Willow Creek for a fresh start in Portland. Before going, she visits Dixie's diner, sitting at the counter, writing a letter to Laura on paper with the diner's logo. "I was wrong, Laura," she writes, her handwriting shaky. "You deserve someone who loves you completely. I won't come back, and I hope you find happiness." She leaves the letter with Hank, asking him to deliver it, then boards a bus, watching Willow Creek fade through the window, tears falling silently. She recalls days when the three of them were friends, laughing by the river, but knows those days are gone forever.